things. Oh, Shardvixen here. Okay, first of all, I'm feeling better. Okay, for those of you who have read my tweets or whatever and kind of know what's going on. Um, I'm on the downhill slide of a fibromyalgia attack. It's one of the not so fun ones. I actually ended up going to bed and sleeping, though I did not end up staying in bed, so that's good. I haven't done any streaming because I haven't done any streaming because I decided to take a step back. I somehow messed up my sound on my capture card when we went from to chat link, and then when I try to go to my Xbox 360, it wouldn't work. You can see that there's one of my running around a testy thing. I think the last time I streamed, and I got really frustrated with it. I just went. And this isn't Rambling 101. I'm just catching you up, and then we're going to do bits of me and talk about pets some more. The thing is, so it overly frustrated me to the point that I was like, I'm done. I don't want to stream ever again. I don't want to, I had a wow moment. So what I did is I decided I'd take the time off, just do the vlog. I'm still sorting. I got to show you this. Look. I've been sorting lace. Like this, I got lace. I still have another bag. This is my last bag, I think. I don't know. There might be a box left in there. This is not my stuff. This was given to my daughter by some people at work whose wife had died, whose mother had died, and she had all this sewing stuff. What she had is equaled out to 3 bags of lace, white color, and then those colors like black, white, and browns, which is fine. I don't know. I couldn't possibly use all this lace for sewing myself. I mean, you could probably sew it all together into one actual dress and you'd be fine. But what I've been doing is they put stick pins in it, and then they got rusted. So I've been pulling all the pins out and rolling them into balls. So I've got this ribbon, material, all kinds of stuff. So that's the last of my sorting, and then I will be, there was this in here too, which I think, looking at it, even though it looks like a marshmallow stick or a hot dog stick, I think it's actually a stitcher, like to pull, she was using it to pull the stitches out, stitch remover. So I have 3 bags of lace right now. See, here's colors. Here's the weird browns and whatever. I don't know why that green's in there. I think last night I thought it was a gray. It's an actual green. So that goes in my color one. So the last 2 days, that's all I've been doing. I'm going to show you real quick here. We're going to, oh, maybe we won't, because I can't. I'll have to go this way. There it is. So that's, see, I'm starting to get it all cleared off there. I know it doesn't look like it, but those are books that are going to be turned into journals and stuff. And so then obviously start my journal stuff. So that is what I've been doing. That and getting better. I spent, like I said, I took a nap. I've been very just kind of sitting and chilling. I got to go through my channels and clear them up. I've been doing animation. Tomorrow's my animation day, and I'll sit and do animation all day. And then either next week or the week after that, I'm going to come back and play Fallout with Genghis Ron and get back to Journey with Savage Planet. I bought 3 new games this month. I got Generation Zero for PlayStation, which is a co-op game we can all play. Black Desert, which is a role-playing co-op game again. I think that's what they call it. Who knows? I never can get them named. And then Stranded Deep on my Xbox. I just saw a couple of other games that are coming out. Oh, Maneater. I just saw a thing for Maneater, and I think I'd like to get that. You play as a bull shark. You know, you navigate through, and you can become an evil Maneater if that's your choice. And I thought, that might be an interesting take on playing, so I'm going to look into maybe getting that when it comes out. But that's it. I will be making, as soon as either I get this area cleared completely, or I'll be going out and we'll be filming some making of pages is the first thing I'm going to do. So how I build my journal is I'll make the pages first, then we'll put them into signatures. Once I have the signatures done, Then I put them in between the two boards that I showed you that I'm making the journal with so I can make the spine. Then I'm going to put the spine and the book covers together. Then I will put the signatures sew them into the spine. Then we'll decorate the signatures, and the outside of the cover will be the last part we decorate, so we'll know we are all done. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I took some time off from the streaming. I've done this before because here's what the thing is. I stream because I enjoy streaming and chatting with whoever shows up. Lately, not very many people have been showing up. That happens sometimes. We go through these weird where I get lots of you showing up and then I don't get anybody showing up. Some of it's the games that I pick, I'm sure. Some is the time period that I stream. You know, different things like that. I don't care. I do it because I enjoy playing. But when I get frustrated and I've got things going on that I can't take care of, then I no longer have fun. It's time to take a step back, take a breather, and get back on track. So eventually what will happen is I will stream. That stuff's going on. I will stream, and then I will be adding videos up. And like I said, we'll be getting the crafting started. And we're just going to move from there. And who shows up to watch it shows up, and who doesn't, that's fine. And then I will give, at the end of the year, I'll do another reevaluation and decide what I want to do. But I have to mix things up because I get very tired. And then when I get sick, it's worse. Alright, so today is what would be What Does Vixen Say? And I'm now sharing that spot with Bits of Me, which tells a little bit about me and what I remember. Not necessarily what other people remember, because everybody sees things differently, but pretty much what I remember. And I had told you about we had a Persian named Puff Cat, and then he died when I was a teen. Right around about the time that I was, I left my mom's house. I went to stay with my friend and her family, the friend that now lives with me. And then I left there to move in with my father. My father and I have a not very nice relationship. He's dead now, so we don't have a relationship at all. He's dead and gone, but I still have dreams of him coming to kill me. So that kind of tells you the aspects of my father. I was not allowed to have a pet when I lived with my father. So there is, the memories there are just memories are more anchored towards people and events than they are to the pets. But to go back up, when I lived with my mom before I went to live with my dad, my one cat had died. And then my mom, I'm not sure how this worked, but she ended up with 2 cats. And she told me because my cat had died, she said that I could have one of the 2 cats that she rescued. One was this beautiful calico that's that cinnamon color. It's hard to describe. It's like a mixture of this and a brown cinnamon with, and then traces of like silvery blues and the whites, the other colors and oranges that you get in a calico or a tortoiseshell. She was a tortoiseshell, but she was completely tortoiseshell. So, so there was her, and then this cat that was deformed, whose head, even as a kitten, was bigger than the rest of its body. So I took on, or actually she decided she liked me, the little calico, and I wanted to name her Jezebel, because it's just when I looked at her, that's what I saw with those colors, not for any other reason. But my mother, who had switched from being a Baptist to becoming Catholic, just Jezebel was a bad person to her. So we couldn't name her Jezebel because I thought Jezebel and Jezebel was a good name. So I named her Nutmeg because she looked that color of spices. And then my mom's cat, she named Toy, which was a very light tabby. Like the orange wasn't orange, it was yellow. I swear, it was like sherbet colors. It was like yellow and white. And it had a fuse, its spine was fused. So it was always had an arch on it, and it had this gigantic head. Like the head was big and the body was dwarf. It had a fuse. It had this tail that looked like somebody had placed it, like off center. So it's you could feel it too when you rubbed the tail. It was just this thing that stuck straight up. It was fused, so it didn't move. When she wagged her tail, the whole body moved. Um, and it was like these offset, like, you know, like, I don't know how you do it. Like this was offset like this. So, like that. Like you could feel the ridges. And that cat would fall asleep on its head. And you had to go and kind of move it. It would just literally like this. And if you didn't move it, would suffocate because it was sleeping on its nose. Toy didn't live very long, of course. I think it lived longer than most people thought it was going to live. I want to say it lived for about a year, but I left home. So by that time, I think we had Nutmeg for a year, and we left. I left home, and I didn't have her no more, so that was the end of it. I didn't get another pet, really, until I was, for another 10 years, I would have to say. When I was 18, I was dating a gentleman, and he had a dog. And then when we moved in together, because we moved in together, I was probably about, I want to say 21 to 22, 23, somewhere around there, because after I went to the military and came back. We moved in together, and I had oh no, it would have been before that. Anyway, we moved in, and I worked for the California Conservation Corps, and they had kittens that were in the thing, and they were giving them away, and I decided to take one home. Now, this one was a long-haired black kitty, solid black, with that red-black. When in the sun, it looks red. And I named him Mystic, and I brought him home, and had Mystic, and we had Mystic lived with us. And in the process of having Mystic, within 6 months, I ended up with another cat that somebody dumped in my backyard, who was, that my roommate decided to keep, was a little female they named Root Bear. Well, Mystic and Root, neither one of them were fixed, so they had kittens. And the kittens, she had 5 kittens, pretty much solid black, because Root Bear was black as well. And I ended up with 3 of them. I got rid of 2 of them. I had 3 of them, and eventually I got rid of all of them but one. The 3, though, at the time I had them, were Puka, Puma, and Peekaboo. And I ended up with Puma or Puka. I ended up with Puka, who was a very big, large male. Because then, by that time, the boyfriend I was living with, we had been together for about 5 years. We separated, and we all had to go our own ways, and I didn't have any place to go, so I ended up living with my grandmother, and I took my cat with me. I did find homes for the other 2 cats at the time, but I had Puka, and Puka ended up having kitty cat leukemia and died. So I didn't have another cat for a long while again, until I moved out of my grandmother's house, and I was living, I stayed with the friend that I have here. I stayed with her for a while, but then I moved back out to my hometown, and I got a job, and the job I had was I was a delivery driver, and I got me this other little kitty cat. I went down to the pet store, because usually I just find cats wherever. Went down to the pet store and just got a little gray tabby that I named Bandit, because he had the black along his eyes. Bandit was a pretty cool little cat. And then I met my daughter's father, and when we moved in together, I had Bandit. And when I had my daughter, when she was small, I had rats for her to learn how to handle animals and be kind to them. Rats are a really great way to teach kids how to hold and be kind to animals. For one reason, because rats will pretty much get out of without too much. They don't scratch too much. They don't bite or anything. They just kind of maneuver their way around to get away from you if you're being a little rough with them. So she had this rat, this huge black rat named Ritzy that we bought for. She named him after a Ritz cracker. Of course, my daughter was only 2 at the time. And she had him for a while. And then, as rats can have, when he turned about 3 or so, when he turned 2, he developed a tumor on his neck and had to be put to sleep because the tumor got too bad. And by then, she was old enough to get a kitty cat, though the pound, at the time, I think, said she had to be 6, but we took her to the pet store, and we bought her this little black kitty that she picked out and named Cookie, whose real name was Demon Cat from Hell, because Spider Cat from Hell is what we named him. Spider Cat from Hell, because he'd literally climb the walls. But he'd follow her everywhere, and she could just call Cookie, Cookie, and he'd come wherever he was at, and he slept with her and everything. And that, that emotional connection that people have with their animals, she had a really close connection. About that time, my daughter's father left, and there was just me and my daughter and our 2 cats, and we were getting ready to move to another. I had put a down payment on for a house. It was a rent-to-own concept. So you paid a little extra on your down payment and a little extra on your monthly rent, and that went towards you owning the house to get enough money to open a mortgage on it. So I was doing that, and I was working downtown Sacramento, and my daughter, beautiful child that she was and beautiful woman she is now, she's the exact same way. Excuse me. We were at a park, and she seen this person walk over. I wasn't really paying attention, but I guess she was sitting on the swing and watched this person walk over with this big box, put the box under a tree, and walk away. So she kind of wandered over there. I was watching her, but she wandered over there, crawled up underneath this bushy tree, and come out with 5 kittens. So we took the kittens, and they were young. They weren't ready to be away from their mom, kind of kittens. So we took them home, and I taught her how to take care of them, and we named them after all the characters of the Winnie the Pooh series. And I found homes for all of them, but Jelly Bean and another one. And Jelly Bean, actually, though, wasn't from that set. Jelly Bean was a friend of mine's cat who needed a home for a little while. That story, I'm coming back for my cat. And, Jelly Bean was another calico, and nobody ever came back for her. And she wasn't fixed and was pregnant and didn't know it when she came home. So I had something like 8 kittens. 5 of them from the park, and I think Jelly Bean had 3 or 4 of her own. And I still had my 2 males. Both of them were fixed, because we fix our cats no matter what. As if you can't fix your cats, you need to figure out ways to get rid of them kittens and not killing them. And so my daughter by this time was about 5, 6 years old, and about 4 or 5, and we moved into the house that we were supposed to have. And oh, this is such a funny thing. The house had like, they were repairing there was a lot of repairing going on in this house. Some of it I did, and some of it the landlord was supposed to do and never did. But the bathroom had a big hole in it where it went down into the ground. And she was looking down there and started hearing kitties. Come and find out, there was like something like, when I had them come out and help me look for them, we had to get them out of there, and we had to cage them. There were 20 some odd cats under my house. And I had, at the time, again, 2 of my cats didn't make the move when we moved. Cookie didn't make it, and Bandit didn't make it. When we went to move the cats and put them in carriers, they got out, and we couldn't find them, and when we came back, we never found them either. So Cookie, I think the back neighbor ended up with him, and for a while, and then he died. I don't remember what from. So my daughter had kept 2 of the kittens from the other litter. But we had cats everywhere. We were like, it was the crazy cat lady under the house. And then not just my house, the neighbor next to me had cats as well. It was this strange area where all these cats crawled under the basement and just had cats. So we worked with the pound, and we got them all, found and taken. And we just had R2 at the time, which I think I ended up with Tigger and Piglet was all I had left of the original cats I got. And Jelly Bean everybody went, because Jelly Bean belonged to somebody else, but they never came back. So we had those 2, we fixed them. They disappeared in the process. We never did find them again. They got outside, and then that was it. So I got my daughter a dog, and named her Jubilation Lee. I'm not going to tell you where that's from. If you can guess, then you know enough about me. what you know about me. If you look up Jubilation Lee, and you'll figure out where that comes from. But if you are like me, you'll know exactly where that name came from. Uh, she was a mixed mutt dog from the pound. She had Doberman, which you could see in her, and Doberman markings, but all the markings where the blonde is in the Doberman was all brindle. And then her mother, who I got to see, was this ugly dog, man, just the ugliest thing. Looked like she had that wiry dog in her. I can't think of the name of them, but they have that wiry hair. But it wasn't. It was some weird. It was an offshoot of mixing a Saint Bernard with a pit bull, Rottweiler on one side, and then on her other side of the father they think was a shepherd. I mean, she was literally a mutt dog, but she was a really pretty dog, rather nervous, very nervous dog, very hard to train, nervous dog, but and very standoffish, not very wanting to be pet all the time kind of dog. But she was an okay dog for a first dog for my daughter. We had some problems with Jubilee when we moved, so we ended up finding out that the guy who I was buying the house from was selling me a house that wasn't his. So we moved. I lost my job, collapsed when they went bankrupt. So I moved, which I had for 3 to 4 years, doing research and outreach programs for children with pediatric AIDS. And then we moved to Redding, California, when my daughter was going to be 6. So that would be 1997. Moved to Redding, California, and we only took, well, we did take 2 kittens with us that we found in the backyard, and Jubilee, but we had to get rid of the 2 kittens. They were females, and they were sick with that Koopy cough, and I don't think they were going to survive, so we took them down to the pound and had them, because we didn't have the money at the time to fix them. It just broke my daughter's heart. So we didn't have another cat till I think 3rd grade. So we moved there when she was into kindergarten. Around 3rd grade, when I got a job and had the money to get a cat fixed, I got her this beautiful silver blue kitten that this person was giving away on the outside. Sadly, though, he had ended up with kitty cat leukemia as well, and we lost him within the first 2 years. So then we didn't have a cat for a while. We had a turtle, we had snakes, and we had Jubilee. But Jubilee, sadly, someone let her out of our yard and she disappeared. I think she was terrorized by my neighbor. My back neighbor had kept having the police come out and write tickets for her barking. And I think I went to court for it and won, because it was saying that he'd stand at the edge, and he'd stand at the back of the fence and just tap the fence. And she had been trained. When we were in Sacramento, we trained her to bark at people too near the fence, because the junkies and prostitutes and people doing bad things in our backyard would do it in the alleyways, and they'd throw stuff, not real nice stuff, over the yard. So my neighbor helped me train my dog to bark at him. He had 2 big, huge chows, and that kept people off of the fence, which they like to lean on too, and it would just keep getting, you know, how it would bend down like that. So when he'd stand out the backyard of this place we lived in Redding, he would tap on the thing so she'd bark. And we finally caught him doing it. We didn't have a way to film it because that was before smartphones. Because, boy, would he have been a problem. Smartphones. But, yeah. I was trying to hurry up because I wanted to end this part of it about the pets and me. Though I do have a lot more pets, but really quick on the timeline of the pets. So, from there, Jubilee, we lost Jubilee. We didn't have any cats. A friend of mine came to stay with me for a while, and she dropped. Well, when we first moved, the first year we were in Redding, I took my daughter to the Red Bluff County Fair, and she won 3 goldfish. So I went and got her a cheapy tank and a cheapy thing, you know, pump, and we threw them in thinking they wouldn't live. 3 years later, the damn fish were this big and still in that damn tank. Somebody came to stay with me for a while, and they brought us a little red ear slider. You should look them up if you want to see. They've got the red along the ears. They come from the southern parts of California, of the United States. They are not the kind of, you're not supposed to have them in California or on the West Coast anymore, because they're not native here, and then people get rid of them, and then they become They're an invasive species. But we had one, and it was only when it got plopped in my fish tank. I swear the thing was only, it was like maybe that big. Technically, we still have her. We named her Roadkill. The person gave them to us. Named her Roadkill. My daughter, when she was in 7th grade, did a summer camp and learned how to sex turtles. I know, and owls. And so, Roadkill now is about this big. So Roadkill's like.
So you know it's carbonated.
Okay, yeah. Roadkill's about this big now. Roadkill is almost 25 years old now. If we say that when that big was, less than a year old. And I've had her off and on. I've had her in my house in tanks, and then I had a friend who had a pond, so Roadkill went to live with them for a while, for a couple of years, and then when I was out in Shasta Lake City, I had a pond, and I built a pond and a swimming pool and put her in it and fish in it. And now my mother owns Roadkill and takes very good care of her, though I think Roadkill will probably outlive my mom. Maybe. Maybe not. In captivity, they can live to be up 30 years old. Water turtles don't live as long as tortoises, of course. So that pet still exists. But where we lived in Redding originally when I got Roadkill and Silver Dragon Kitty was to us, that Sylvan. And then my roommate got a cat called Taz. It was black, solid black, another long hair black cat in Redding. And we had different cats during that time. My daughter got a cat that she named Artemis. And Artemis and Taz were really close to each other because Taz had lost Silver Dragon Kitty. But we had toads and snails. We had an apple snail that grew to be that big. I've got the shell someplace. We had, I didn't have any dogs at that time. Fish. I did fish for a while. I grew up with fish. My dad had fish, but, so we did fish for a while. I had sturgeon. Very beautiful silver sturgeon. I did a black and white tank where all the fish were either black or white, silver. Very pretty tank, but I had to get rid of all that stuff. So, okay. Then that's when we moved to Summit City. Artemis got ran over by a car. Taz left. He just up and left. I don't know where he went. Maybe he was heartbroken because of poor Artemis. We had a cat under our house again. We had kittens from that. My son got a cat that walked into our house one summer day. It crawled up on him and went to sleep. So we kept it and named it Mr. Goodies and got it fixed. But when we moved, we had to move down and around the street to a bigger place, nicer yard. And because I had gotten dogs by then and for my kids. And Mr. Goodies didn't make it home one day. So, and then I had a cat that I rescued, named another black female that I named Moon, and she was pregnant when she ended up on my doorstep. I don't know why I end up with cats that are pregnant. And I kept one of her kittens who was deformed, who had a foot that was all funky, and I named her Luna. So we had Moon and Luna when we were getting ready to move to Oregon, but Luna disappeared and Moon got sick. So, and Mr. Goodies, we had lost him by then. And I had to get rid of all my dogs. I had dogs. And that's a really sore part for me, so I don't know if I want to talk about that. I mean, it still hurts. I had to get rid of those dogs, and it's been well over 10 years now. Because I found them, too. Well, or somebody gave them to me. Or my daughter bought one. She bought a dog when she started working. A little Whippet Pinscher mix. Very cute dog. Named it Thunder Pig. Kind of nervous, but cute, like little dogs are. But then I ended up with a couple of my friends' dogs. Because I had a yard, and whenever hard things happened to them, we'd take in their animals. But I had to get rid of the dogs and the cats. And we moved here, and I wasn't going to get nothing. No dogs, no cats. It was a good 6 months or so. Finally, my daughter succumbed to her need and got a little black kitty that we named Lulu. Lulu just recently died last year from, I'm thinking she had the cat coop, and it killed her. And I think Adele, who came from next door, also died from that. So where I stand now, and then I got charcoal for my son 6 years ago for him, for his anxiety, his emotional support dog, and my daughter got a dog. And so where we stand right now is we have the two dogs. Serenity is the last of the cats from next door. Big fat weirdo cat. She's a weirdo cat. And the chickens. And that's it. If I get any other animals, there won't be another dog. Won't maybe another cat. I like cats. They're pretty independent. We have an outdoor cat that adopted us. It's probably going to go with us when we move. But for the most part, maybe something like a... Been thinking I'd like to get a rat again, or maybe a ferret. I really wanted to get a hedgehog, but the more I read into it, the harder they seem like not an animal that you could just kind of put in a cage or sit on your shoulder, you know. So, I don't know. I'm not really into birds. The chickens are okay because I grew up around them, but I'm not really into them. They're kind of fun to watch. So that's it for the Bits of Me on pets. The next time I do Bits of Me, I'm going to do cars. I'm going to talk about cars I remember as a child. I'm going to talk about cars I personally got and some of my issues with cars. Anyway, that's it. This is long. Channel will get back up and running within the next 2 weeks. Just look for it. And I'll catch you all on the flip side. I'm out of here. Beep, beep, beep.